Right then, guys, welcome back to the Malmo Regionals. You're now joined by myself, Shay Burton. We've got Benjamin, Rabbi, Otti over there as well. We just looked at a video recapping EUIC, and I believe you did quite well at EUIC, Rabbi.
Yeah, I did pretty well. I fortunately, hit some very good matchups with my certain archetype that I played. I played Block Snorlax.
Okay.
Something that nobody really was anticipating coming into EUIC. So fortunately, was able to capitalize on that a bit more.
Love that. And what position did you get?
I got top 128, so a pretty solid finish. Put me in good standings for the World Championships invite. So yeah, did pretty well.
Love that. And speaking of Block Snorlax, because we got to pick as casters what decks we would play for this event, and I believe Block Snorlax was the deck you chose.
Yeah, so I've fallen into that trap, Trey. I've fallen into that trap of forgetting how to attack. So although I would love to take more of an aggressive archetype coming into this tournament, I think I would stay with the Old Faithful. I'd stay with the Faithful Old Guard and stick with Snorlax and try and capitalize on decks that maybe less switch outs, less text for that certain archetype.
Yeah, so talk to the people. I imagine for a lot of people, they might be looking at this deck thinking, what on earth is going on? So why don't you give us a quick rundown of some of these cards and what they do?
Yeah, the first question I'm always asked is, how do I win?
Yeah.
So how do I set up?
Exactly.
How do I win? Well, it's one of those decks that, capitalize on going second. So you get to support it first. So you choose the Arven. It's the reason why you play that one battle VIP pass. So you can get the Arven. You can get your Rotom V. So you can instant charge for those first three cards. Get drawing into some big hands here, and get the pot helmets down. So you can really try and annoy your opponents with the Block Snorlax.
Yeah, and just looking at this list now, there's a lot of disruption stars. We've got the Misfortune Sisters, we've got Team Yell's Cheer, we've got the Camping Gear. I bet a lot of you don't even know what Camping Gear does. Let me see if I get this right. End your turn, but you get to essentially computer search a card out of your deck and it ends your turn. And Snorlax is such a good Pokemon in TCG at the minute, right? You've got Thumping Snore, and then we've got this Block one as well. Yeah. So it's just, Snorlax is really good. You've got the Quad Disruption as well, a card that we've seen used a lot in the control archetype. But one thing I really love about this deck, though, is how you've got use of Forest Hill Stone. But in order to activate it, you have got Rotom card, you got your Rotom, but you've got Pidgeot who can just shuffle itself back away as well.
It's a just in case. Yeah, the Camping Gear is fantastic for early knockouts on your Rotom V. So say if Mew tries to go to really aggressive outs and try and get that Rotom V out of the way, that's my biggest threat on the board. I'll try and judge around it and stop me accessing instant charge. But Camping Gear is like, no way, stop right there. I'm going to get that boss ready for next turn. You're not going to get away too easily.
It reminds me a bit of, was it Steven's Result or Steven's Advice? What was the card called? Where you got to end your turn but get 3 cards from your deck, I believe, right? And that was like the control supporter of choice. So let's have a look. So we had a look there at Block Snorlax. Hopefully we can have a look at my pick as well, because I think my pick has a little bit of spice as well. Not as spicy as your deck by any means. I actually had a fun story about Block Snorlax. I think it was at EUIC actually, where someone flipped over a Block Snorlax. I was like, oh my goodness, my player gets control, but they were playing something else. I was like, oh, thank you. But yeah, here is the deck I would be playing. A bit of Lugia. I'm a single strike aficionado. Single strike Urshifu is my favorite Pokemon, so I have no choice. I have to play this deck. But let me run you through some of the spice. I don't know if you guys have spotted it already. The first bit is that the Clarion Articuno. A lot of people thinking, what on earth are you playing that for? You haven't got Psych-Energies to attack. Well, you are correct. But we are there for that reconstitution ability. Let you discard 2 cards from your hand and then draw 1. Because what I've noticed playing Lugia in this format compared to the last format, I haven't got Quick Ball, I haven't got Raw Energy, so getting those Arceus to the discard pile sometimes is a bit troublesome. So if you can just get the Articuno out, it makes it a whole lot easier. But then to facilitate the Articuno even more, I'm not sure if you realise, guys, yet, there's 3 copies of Jack. Who knows what Jack does in the chat? I guarantee you don't. Some of you will, I imagine. But Jack is probably my favourite card in the deck, to be perfectly honest. Lets you get 2 Evolution 2 Pokemon from your deck and put them in your hand. What this means is if you've got 1 Archeops in hand already, you can grab the second one, you can grab your Lugia V-Star, and now you are off to the race. And I found if you get turn 2 Archeops in play with Lugia, you're normally in the driver's seat. So my list is built to do that as often as possible. And I'm sure some people are thinking, yeah, but you got a 2 Poiser on your bench. You know, a lot of decks will capitalise on that. No, they won't, because I will Thornton that Articuno away into, you know, my second Yveltal attack, or my second T-Tar attack, or my second Stone Journer, as it were. So this is the deck I would be playing, I think. And I'm a big fan, actually, when you set up. But unfortunately, with Lugia in this day and age, it's not guaranteed.
You make me laugh so much. You say the first spice is the Articuno. I was thinking that 3 Jack sitting in the middle corner there. But yeah, who would have thought? Aggressive playstyle, you? No, come on.
No, don't be silly. As soon as I saw that single strike Urshield was the way to play it, at least in my opinion, I was like, I have to. I went out and bought my Lugias, bought my Archeops. I always had the Urshields, obviously. Also, Tyranitar for me is a top 10 Pokemon for me, in my opinion, as well. So being able to just use that single strike crush makes me very happy indeed. So let me know in the chat, you Lugia players, what you're thinking about Jack. I'd love to know your opinions.
Well, it's not just you playing that single strike Urshifu, Shay. It's also a lot of our players out there. It's the single strike Urshifu giving that ability to the Lugia player to just have those really big one-hit knockouts with the G-Max 1 blow. Yeah,
and what's really good, like we saw Goodra in the last round, if you're playing against Goodra with this, G-Max 1 blow will go through the Goodra's rolling iron, so you can just eject that from play. Really good if you catch some Duraludon still knocking about. We saw Alex Szymanski win EUIC with Duraludon deck. If you come across against that, you can just one-shot that as well. And against Miraidon, if you ever come up against that, you can start taking care of Beatdown, which, which is such an insult for them, because you're there like, I don't even have to discard my energy. Maybe just get rid of that. And yeah, it's good fun. If you're drawing hot, I think if you're prone to drawing hot, I think Lugia is the deck for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to the Urshifu. It's such a strong attack, like you say, negating effects on the attack, but also the availability to just do 350, just smash that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not a lot of decks that can do that. I mean, I guess Mew V Max can do it once. You go tab, 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 tab. But I don't have to go tab, tab, tab. I can just go attack his energies and something's out the way. So, yeah, so I'm sure it won't take us too long to get some Lugia on stream.
But let's talk about EUIC. Let's go back to that. You know, when we came into EUIC, we came into rotation. We came into a new set from Scarlet and Violet. You know, this is where deck builders can really show their strengths. You know, we saw Tord Reklev. We had a chance to speak to him a few days ago. You know, he is. That's where he's best. He says, I'm going to put my finger on the pulse of the format. I'm going to go straight consistency. We saw him with Lost Box Zard, and now we saw him with Gardevoir, and then we saw him with Lugia, of course, before in the International Championship. So, you know, what were the main archetypes from your perspective? What were the main archetypes you said, that looks great, that looks really good?
Yeah, so coming into EUIC, I guess you had the obvious, you know, Lost Boxes, for example, Sable Zard, and you had Mirage Gates as well. They were sort of the big deck. That was the deck I thought would be most popular. I knew Lugia would be popular. I didn't anticipate the 1/1 Duraludons. I mean, it made a lot of sense. I didn't anticipate that. And then sort of my deck coming into it then, I was, funny story actually. So the night before I left for EUIC, I had my friend Demetrius Eaton coming over. And I said to them, I was like, you know what, I think Arc Duraludon with 4 Lost Cities would be really good in this meta. He said, don't do it. Don't play Duraludon. It's not that good. I thought, all right then. And then obviously, and then I'm sat there watching the final a few days later with an Arc Duraludon deck with 4 Lost Cities. I wasn't on Vulpix, to be fair. But looking back on it, I think Goodra was a fantastic pick for that event. And we saw it do really well as well. But I believe we have a graphic here that will show us what you guys will be playing. So let's have a look at that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, wow. So hold on. A 3-way tie. You guys can't agree. Or maybe you guys are agreeing too much, actually.
We know the other is Snorlax block.
Yeah. So what have we got there? What deck do you think will win the event? Lost Box at 4 votes, Gardevoir at 4, and then others tell us in the chat. I'd like to know what some of those others were. I wonder if we could maybe get that information. Lugia coming in at 3, only Mew at 1, so Mark, only one person agrees with you, apparently.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Lost Box, Gardevoir, no surprise, really. They're so consistent. They're so well placed in the meta as well.
Yeah.
And they offer so much versatility. You know, it's not just the straight Gardevoir that, say, Tord played with the 4 research, but of course we have the Mewtwo V Union, we have Klefki, we have Klefki with the Hatterene V even. You know, and Lost Box, I mean, I don't have to tell our viewers and trainers back home, you know, it's so versatile. You can just add and pick and choose what you want to add into it.
Yeah, no, it's always going to be a strong. Any deck that's like a singleton, one prize deck as well, you've got time to get involved, but you've got Cramorant to provide early game tempo. You know, Lost Box will always be a format staple, at least I think while it's in format. But we didn't expect much about Gardevoir. I feel as if coming to EUIC, that was a deck a lot of people thought, okay, it's all right, but no one had the time to sort of break the archetype, I feel, for EUIC, unless your name is Tord. Because him, on the other hand, saw right through the noise and thought, drawing cards and attaching energy, it's quite good. Yeah,
that trade effect is certainly a best friend of his, as we, of course, know him with the Zoroark GX archetype, so it's no stranger to him to introduce that play style into the format. But, you know, it's a good thing. You know, we had a conversation with him a few days ago, as I said, and he said, you know, the differentiation between consistency and power. And if you can have the less power cards in your deck and more consistency, you're always going to have a good time, right? You're always going to set up better than your opponent, and you're always going to have the best chance to get into the game. So, you know, we see with the Gardevoir, you know, it plays a lot of 1 supporters, 1 boss, 1 worker. You know, these are those power cards that, you know, I can just play 1 and still win the game, whereas, you know, another player may be playing 3 boss.
Yeah, 100%. And when you actually sit down and think about Gardevoir, you're a stage 2 deck that gets to attach unlimited energy from the discard pile. How about we just try and get that happen as often as possible, and then we should be good to go.
Yeah, no, and I think I just heard the pairing come into my ear there.
Wait, did I hear that? Carry on?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we got our pairings ready, and it's Philip versus Robin.
No way!
Yeah.
I was like, did I hear that correct?
I'm hoping I heard that correctly.
So we got the potentially, we'll get a double confirmation, but it could be the brother showdown. We interviewed them, I think, for 1 regionals, and they do test together, they do play together. Obviously, Robin, world champion, Philip, regional champion, Harrogate, I believe, so yeah, what an all-star showdown this is.
No, we'll get the deck list choices up in a minute as well, but, you know, I'm thinking maybe they're playing Gardevoir.
I would imagine.
I heard, you know, Philip very fond of the archetype, thinking it's best in format, you know, having a few deliberations with a few other players as to whether it's the best deck in format. You know, maybe there's words on the street, it struggles with the Lost Box matchup, but who knows? Yeah,
well, I was speaking to Nico there about the Lost Box matchup, and he seemed to think, you know, it's just okay. You know, you got Cresselia to sort of bail you out sometimes, to take some key KOs. Like we actually saw in round 1, actually, if you can just get rid of the only Comfey, then they might struggle to get cards in the lost zone. So, yeah, we're intrigued to see this matchup. 2 world-class players, you know what I mean? By any means, will not be an easy matchup for either player. And exciting time, potential sibling rivalry.
And going back to that, you know, the Lost Box matchup with Gardevoir, you know, you have so much opportunity to put in some cards that maybe, you know, negate the little damage sometimes that Lost Box does. You know, you have the penny itself, but also you have things like Collapse Stadium to get the damage Pokemon off the bench, you know, so there's opportunity there.
Yeah, no, 100%. A lot of ways to maneuver around, as it were. We've just been told they're actually playing the same deck, but not the same 60, as it were. So we get confirmation of that, we'll see. But I'm very excited. Have we ever had the brotherly showdown on stream this season? I don't think we have.
I don't think we have. No. Very exciting stuff. You know, whose 60 is best? Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. Ultimate bragging rights here, right? Whoever wins, like, you get an argument with your brother, you'd be like, well, actually, who won on stream? You know what I mean? And that's the ultimate mic drop. Like, I won that one, thank you very much. So.
It's like those League Cup stories when you're on the way home.
Yeah,
and you beat your mate in the final. It's a silent car ride home.
Yeah, silent car ride. Well, one person will be wanting to talk, and the other person just leave me alone, mate. You know what I mean? Leave me alone. I just want to check Twitter.
You got to scoop to your drivers.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what's going on. Let's do a little prediction.
Okay.
Who have you got?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to go for Philip.
You're going for Philip?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Philip. I was feeling his energy earlier in the day. I was feeling it.
Well, I mean, I get to pick a world champion then. So I'm not gonna complain. So it looks like players are starting to set up here, and talk to us about, you mentioned like, League Cups, when you match your friends, when you do match a friend, what's going through your head?
I don't know. Usually,
especially considering you're playing control decks as well, so that adds a whole new element to it.
Well, it's great for me because I know what's in my opponent's deck. It's fantastic for me. I'm thinking, 8 switch outs? Okay, so I only need to boss 4 times. That's brilliant. That's great. Misfortune Sisters once. Let's go. Let's go ahead.
Misfortune Sister. What does Misfortune Sisters do again?
So you look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and discard any amount of items.
So it's a bit like there was an Alolan Muck that had that on ability, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's a funny little interaction because your opponent can't see the cards either. Unless you reveal the items. So it's a funny little interaction. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's a very interesting card. Just had confirmation. They are both playing Gardevoir EX. So let's have a look at this deck analysis. Look at that graphic looking all good. Big fan of this. So Psychic Embrace, in case you don't know, lets you attach as many Psychic energies from your discard pile to your Psychic Poke. As many! That's insane. You do have to put 2 damage counters on each one, but that means you can retreat, get those energies back, attach them somewhere else. And we saw in round 1, you can just attach all those energies to Zacian, which can just have 60 plus 30 for each Psychic energy. Lets you go to insane damage, and if you have Sky Steel Stone, you start taking extra prizes as well.
Energy acceleration. Who would have thought that was good?
Yeah.
Psychic Embrace, absolutely insane ability. Usually we see these types of abilities. You can only do it once. You're limited. You're limited. You're limited in the amount of times you can do it. But with Psychic Embrace, you can do it as often as you like, and you can capitalize on all these little attackers like the baby Gardevoir, as we saw in the last game, but also Gardevoir EX itself. But most importantly, Zacian V with that the Storm Sword attack. In infinite amount of damage you can do sometimes.
Yeah, and then providing you that tempo with that Sky Seal as well. And looking at the matchups there, data from Trainer Hill. Good matchups. Miraidon and Mew VMAX, if you're going strictly by the percentages, which, good matchups to have.
Yeah.
And then your potential bad matchups, Arceus, Giratina, and Sablezard. I can see why Sablezard would really be hard because, Charizard been able to throw around big damage, KO the Zacians in one hit. You're only taking 1 prize.
Yeah.
And that's maybe the Achilles heel to Gardevoir, is that your own 1 prize attacking options aren't the greatest. You haven't got a Greninja to just end games instantly. You have got Cresselia, which is nice, but I feel it's a bit niche.
Yeah, you want to be hitting the big attackers. You really want to be hitting the big HP Pokemon so you can utilize Sky Steel Stone. So it's not rare to say that Sablezard is a bad matchup, but also Arceus Giratina. It's with the Judge Path combo, it can really damage the Gardevoir's ability to get that Psychic Embrace up and running. But of course, you do have Curlia. You can utilize the stage 1 Curlia, it provides a ton of draw. As it says here on our lovely little graphic, discard 1, draw 2. It can help you get set up. It can help you find those 1 cards, get the Psychics in the bin.
Yeah, and who would have thought it? Like, when you have your stage 1s, I feel as if when you're in a stage 2 deck, if your stage 1s are helpful, it just makes it so much easier. If you think about, like, Greninja, for example, had water duplicates. And funny enough, we talk about Greninja, because there is actually a water duplicates Curlia in format as well, but I don't know, there was a bit of debate before EUIC as to whether that was actually effective. Some people said that niche use, some people not, and I think Tord at EUIC just saying basically, don't need to bother with that.
Yeah, it's a just in case card. I really like the Mirage Step Curlia. You can get away with having a bad setup. When you play turn 1, you can't use your supporter, you can't get your research out. Sometimes you can only get 1 Ralts on the field. But if you can utilize Mirage Step and play a certain list that really plays to that out, why not?
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, just drawing extra cards over the course of a game is going to be really strong. It looks like both players are setting up here. We're going to get access to the deck list there. And let's have a look at the achievements of Philip, because even though his brother is a world champion, that doesn't mean that Philip he's no slouch either. Let's have a look at 7th for EUIC, 3rd at EUIC, and then winning 2 regionals. One of them was recent, Bremen.
Yeah, Bremen.
And then Harrogate as well.
Funny thing about Philip, he'd taken a little break, but came back at Bremen and just won the thing.
yeah, literally.
Really,
the return of the king story, as it were.
A really well-established player. Both of these players are not shy to the big stages.
Yeah, I mean, look at those IC finishes as well. You could argue that ICs are the biggest stage. He all had the third place finish at the bottom as well. I didn't even see that one. Funny story about the Harrogate regional as well, that he won. He didn't play a single game of his deck 2 days before. He built the deck the night before and took it to win. And it looks like we are getting started. Robin here starting us off with the Hisuian heavy ball.
Oh, you love to see a Hisuian level ball, turn 1 and first played as well. Check those prizes and better yet, take a Rolls out as well. So, big play there from Robin, turn 1. Let's see the prizes here. We see a Gardevoir EX, that could hurt him. Also a Curlier as well. So, could hurt the setup. But here we see a Battle VIP pass, turn 1. You love to see it.
Yeah, 100%. And both players, actually. So I mentioned Skyseal Stone there in the deck strength, but both players are actually playing the Forest Seal Stone, actually. So what do you think the advantage is to playing a Forest Seal over a Sky Seal?
Well, the Forest Seal Stone obviously provides, more consistency to the deck. It's a really, really powerful ability on the Star Alchemy. Available to just grab one card from your deck can sometimes come in absolutely clutch. But we see here Robin doesn't need to use his Forest Seal Stone here. He's got an absolute optimal setup here. Getting that Cresselia down, hopefully can pick out some Roltses in the early turns.
Yeah, and just getting set up in the game. It's interesting. So I think if you're playing the Gardevoir Mirror, for the Forest Seals are infinitely better, right? Because Sky Seal would have no use whatsoever. So, like you said, this is a fantastic start for Robin. Filling the bench, got the Cresselia up, and the Gardevoir Mirror is not something I've actually thought about much. What do you reckon the sort of ideal lines would be? Well,
we can see both players here. Philip started the Cresselia, but Robin opted to get it out early on. If you can utilize knocking some Roltses out in the earlier turns to try and harm your opponent's way to get set up in the earlier stages, I think that's the way to go.
And then let's see. Yeah, I mean, you have to imagine whatever Robin wanted to do that turn, he probably did. All 4 Rolts out. Even Pride's in one, Robin saying, "No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." Yeah.
And let's not forget starting the Mew.
Yes.
So you can just use that mysterious tail. Such a great ability. Look at the top 6, grab an item. So let's have a look at how Philip sets up here.
So Philip, you open the turret with a Fog Crystal. So, and to have a look through there, we're going to do some prize checking. Like we said, I've got the copy of Worker prized, but that doesn't really seem to matter too much. You could argue that Collapse Stadium could be a factor in the Guardian Mirror, I would imagine. Both players are playing it. So let's actually have a look at the differences between the lists. So they are playing the same deck, but not the same 6s. Let's have a gander. So it looks like Robin is playing 1 copy of Irida, which is interesting. You're letting you grab a water type and an item, so that can grab you Lumineon, can grab you Radiant Greninja plus an item. Got Rare Candy or Pal Pad or anything like this. I was about to say Forest Seal Stone, but you can't do that anymore. And then looking over at Philip, we're trying to notice any differences.
Well, looking through, whilst he was looking through his deck, I could see there was another Cresselia.
Oh, yes.
So he does play 2. So, that's going to be great for the Mirror, hopefully, for him. But also great against Lost Box. Taking quick knockouts on the Comfey in the early turns, huge.
And it looks like Robin isn't playing a Judge by the looks of it. Yeah, so it looks like Judge might have become the Irida. And that's an interesting one, because Judge against decks like Lost Box is so strong, right? Allowing you to just, because Lost Box, they like to just grow their hand over time and pull off combos, and Judge can help you reset that, as it were. So I'm intrigued to see how this Irida pans out. Maybe we'll see it in this game, or in this round, I should say. Well,
for Robin, he's maybe hoping to Irida in the earlier turns to grab it just in case Rare Candy, let's say. So you can grab Rare Candy, Radiant Greninja, and set up a little bit more.
And it looks like Robin, looking at his list, it might be trying to get to the turn 2 Gardevoir more often, because we're playing the 3 copies of Ultra Ball. Normally you see 2, I believe, right, in Gardevoir. And then 2 copies of Rare Candy. And with the Irida, you might, reading between the lines there, might be trying to get to the turn 2 Gardevoir more often. We do see the 1 copy of Serena as well for both players. So Yeah, look at that Philip there, starting off the turn with the Professor's research. Now having a great start himself with 2 volts down the Mew and the Cresselia, going out the active, I imagine for the Mew, getting energy and discard power. Here we see the Mysterious Tail.
Yeah, we see both players having quite a similar setup here, and we see the Mysterious Tail opting to go, well, he has to opt to go for the Fog Crystal here. We can imagine it's going to be another Ralts coming down on the field. And yep, there it is.
Wow, so all the Raltses coming in down there, get involved. It looks like Philip isn't playing any of the memory skip Ralts, actually. Gone all in on the teleportation birthright, 70 HP, I believe. Interesting, we did see memory skip, you know, be relevant in UIC final for turning off Vulpix, or making life hard for Vulpix, but I imagine Vulpix might not be as relevant anymore. Maybe Philip saying, you know, let's just go for the extra HP. Makes sense, you know, with Cresselia is running around, funnily enough, or Sableye as well. Yeah,
we see these are the sort of meta picks that we see. Right? You know, Philip has said, you know, I don't imagine this Vulpix is going to be very popular going into this into this tournament. So, you know, opting to go for the 70 HP to have, say, a better Lost Box matchup against Sableye.
Yeah, and for sure, and I think that's Gardevoir's, I don't want to say Achilles heel, but that's the sort of question mark is, how is Gardevoir realistically into Lost Box? I suppose if you can just shore that matchup up, then I think, at least in my opinion, Gardevoir becomes the undisputed best deck in format. You know, a lot of people say, you know, I think at the minute there is a debate for some other decks, but if you can make your Gardevoir deck have a favourable Lost Box, I think it has to be a bit difficult. Look at all the strengths. You've got drawing cards, attaching energy, taking extra prizes. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, we see both of our players having a little chuckle here. Robin's drawn into quite a great hand here. He's got 2 Curlier also set up, and energy's hitting the bin. Energy is hitting that bin.
Yeah, like that's the sort of mini game you play with Gardevoir, right? Number 1 could get Gardevoir out, number 2 get energy in the bin. Once you get Gardevoir out, energy in the bin, the combos go nuts. You can do whatever. You can attach energies here, you can pay retreat here, you can do damage this way, that way, way, move damage counters over with Cresselia. Yeah, but you do have to get to that point first.
Yeah, of course. And we see the Ultra Ball in hand, so, you know, Rare Candy is live. He's got 2 more Ralts on the field, so he can go for a Curlier with this level ball as well. So
so that's going to be 3 Curlier turn 2, yeah?
Yeah, massive.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's a setup a lot of our players would hope to get. You know, this is a Gardevoir masterclass, let's say.
Yeah, it is, yeah. If you want to see some world-class Gardevoir play gameplay, this is the place to be right here. Malmo round 2. 2 world-class players playing here. So Robin's researched this turn, right? And he's got 3 refinements. So what's that? 7 plus 6, 13 cards you see in this turn, yeah? Oh my god! And then 1 off Mysterious Tail as well. There's a Rare Candy. Do we have the card? He's checking.
He does have Ultra Ball in hand.
I think, is he not got the? Oh no, that's Luminion, right? Yeah.
So he does have Ultra Ball in hand.
So let's see. So if he does go for Gardevoir, which you have to imagine he probably would you go for like a Cresselia play here? Maybe take out a Ralts?
Yeah, I would imagine so. You know, trying to stop your opponent from getting set up, and especially so early as well. You know, Philip, you know, he's only just had his first turn. You know, if he can take a Ralts out so early on, you know, it's so advantageous.
So hold on, I've just realised something. Could it be argued this is the best Gardevoir turn 2 realistically you could have? 3 Curliers and a Guardi EX with an attack as well. It has to be up there, right? Like
it's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good. And we see the Rare Candy coming down.
So Philip with a little chuckle there.
Psychic Embrace is live. And here we see...
Look at Robin as I try not to... I can see it. Oh, dear. So it looks like we are going to be seeing the Cresselia pack. I love this, because what you want to try and do now is stop Philip from doing exactly what you've just done. And how do you do that? By taking out a Ralts, making it as hard as possible. I'd imagine anyway. Let's see what he does here. So... just seeing, is there anything else I can do?
No.
So, taking out the Ralts.
Taking out that Ralts, early on. So now Philip only has 2 Ralts left.
Yeah, and there we see actually interesting the 70 HP coming up there, because if it was the 60 HP one, it's 1 less energy that Robin would need. So, wow, what a commanding start there from Robin. Let's see what Philip managed to do. It does start the turn off there with an Ultra Ball. Was that an Ultra Ball or was that a research throw? What did
he plays the Ultra Ball, Ultra Balling away Serena and...
Oh, yeah, for the Guardi EX, yeah. And there's another turn
oh,
to Gardy. Okay, and a Curlier. What Philip said, hold on a sec, let me, with the research, hold on, all right, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here, Robbie. You know, yeah, I'm pretty good myself. Okay, so let's just draw into the forest still. So, you know, if Zacian comes down, we could have a computer search. We still have Mysterious Tail live as well.
Draws into a Fog Crystal, a couple actually. So we see a Ralt coming down.
So let's have a think. What's Philip? Would Philip just try and do the same? Get a Cresselia into Mysterious Tail potentially? I think you're probably outside of range of getting a Curlier, right? That has to be a lot of energy.
So he still has the refinement here. He still has to refinement a Psychic Energy, but he can manually retreat with the Mew.
Yes,
so he can manually retreat with the Mew to get another Psychic Energy in the discard pile. So he can use the Psychic
there it is,
Embrace. And we see him draw 2.
All right, let's see what Philip does here. There's a level
ball as well.
Very nice. And he's going to find another Curlier by the looks of it.
Getting ready for next turn, I would have thought.
Yep.
We saw him get the Ralts just before the end there. But I suppose the problem for Robin here is that because he's trying to use Cresselia, he's having to scatter that Psychic Energy across the board, right? So you want to, you still want to scatter that energy around, but on the right Pokemon.
Yeah. You could make the argument that energy attached in Gardevoir that's not an attacker is the worst place for energy to be, right? Because it needs to be in a discard pile or attacking. So at least when the Pokemon that's attacking gets KO'd, back in the discard pile. If it's attached on a Pokemon that's never going to hit the active or never retreat even, it's dead. Like, you cannot get to it at this point. So you're 100% correct. If Robin wants to continue this sort of Cresselia sniping play, it's going to make it really hard actually to get energies into play with Psychic Embrace.
Yeah, it's not like Zacian where you can attach all the energy to Zacian and know that, oh, it's maybe going to get knocked out next turn, so all that Psychic I'll have available to me next turn.
Yeah, exactly.
With Cresselia, if you keep wanting to use that Cresselia, you're having to always to get that Psychic in the discard pile on the next turn.
No, you're 100% correct here. So I'm intrigued to see what the follow-up play here is. I'm intrigued to see what Philip opts to do here as well, actually. Does you see the Greninja with that concealed card drawing 2? So again, very good start here for Philip as well. Firing off on all cylinders there to get another Ralts down. Am I going to see, what's that, like a Psychic Embrace retreat by the looks of it?
He's not putting the damage canister down. He's saying they're going to come off anyway.
Oh, yeah, it's a fair point, actually. Yeah.
They're going to come off anyway. No problem.
We're going to see. What is the Cresselia attack called, actually? Moon Glow Reverse, does that say? Moon Glow Reverse.
Yeah,
wow, that's
Moon Glow Reverse.
Yeah, okay. So we see the Moon Glow Reverse, and what is be taken out? Is it the Mew?
So taken out Curlier,
Curlier, okay. Love to see that.
So 80 damage being taken onto the Curlier, and this is almost turning into a game of tennis. who can draw and who can get into those Psychic Energies the most efficient.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the Cresselia standoff here. And let's see what Robin does. You see Philip opting to KO the one that didn't have a Psychic Energy, I believe, as well. So
he does have two in the discard. So if he wants to knock out a Curlier, he'll have to get 2 more.
But here we're going to start the turn off with some refinements.
Yeah.
Probably Tempestuous Sun doesn't seem too relevant. No special energy we're coming down for either player. We just see a Roxanne and a Zacian
as well, yeah.
See, Roxanne in this matchup probably not going to be super relevant because, you know, either player can just refinement the way out of it, as it were. Here we see a Fog Crystal. Probably going to find a Psychic Energy, which can get discarded with the refinement ability. And then you're at +4 cards at the turn already for your hand economy there. And this can start getting really thin. And that's where I think Gardevoir gets dangerous. You know, when the deck is thinned out of all the relevant cards that you don't want, and you can always just, you know, pluck out your one-off supporters that you can play. So I want to Penny this turn, I want to Boss this turn, I want to Miriam this turn. You can do exactly what you want. That's where the deck gets scary, I think.
Oh, lovely draw there as well. One more refinement left to him. He had the Radiant Greninja in hand, which he did have to utilize, of course. He used the refinement on the Temple of Sinnoh. So if he wanted to get 2 more in the discard pile, he'd have to use something like a Research or an Ultra Ball, which I didn't believe he had in hand.
Don't think it has got an Ultra Ball hand. Doesn't look like it, actually.
So we see the refinement on the Psychic.
Speaking of Ultra Ball, there you go.
There you go. That's
Ask and you shall receive. Oh goodness! I'm trying to work out what's the the attack you're going for. Because I don't think Cresselia's second attack gets you very far. I think only 110, so that's not doing a great deal. You could attack with Guardi EX, 190. That's a 2 prize Pokemon. You don't really want to be attacking that if possible. So I'm just trying to think, what is it you get? Is Brainwave the correct answer?
So I would like to see another Moonglow reverse, I think, from Robin. But what you really want to try and utilize in the mirror here is keeping that Gardevoir EX on the 310 HP.
Yes,
So it's making it hard for your opponent to snap back and take that take those 2 prize cards. So if he can attach with Psychic Embrace on the Gardevoir and then attach manually.
Yeah. So just using Shining Arcana. No basic energy there.
Arcana.
And that's the crazy thing, like this Gardevoir line, you can tell that Pokemon really like Gardevoir, because Gardevoir currently has 2 good stage 2s in format, and you can argue 2 good stage 1s as well. Even the Rolts are meta relevant as well. So, and this is where the deck gets insane, because Brainwave being a very strong 1 prize attacker that can let you go +2 for card economy as well. As well as being a very dangerous attacker, that 60 + 30 with Brainwave has no problems hitting that higher damage threshold. Things you love to see. Yeah,
it's extremely dangerous. And just like the Gardevoir EX, you would love to keep your Gardevoir, the baby Gardevoir, also on that maximum HP as well.
Yeah, for sure. I guess that's the one downside to the Psychic Embrace, is that it does put damage on. But like you said, normally if we're just up trading big KOs, and also we're going to see another Cresselia here with the Moonglow reverse, I would imagine, seeing those 2 energy attached, which makes sense. Like you said, you can start plucking away these Rolts and Curliers, making it hard for Philip, reduce that draw power. And I think if you get as much value from Cresselia as possible, you're going to make yourself in an advantageous position. Yeah, and
that's what this matchup is, trying to get maximum value out of your attackers. If you can take those big knockouts with the Gardevoir EX with maximum HP, more the benefit to you.
Oh, here's the mirror. About to say, that's that big expensive Miriam card getting used there, letting you shuffle back. Is it up to 5 Pokemon from your discard pile, give them a good shuffle in, and then draw 3 afterwards. And I think Miriam could have been good even if you didn't draw cards, actually. But you get to draw 3, it'll give you a chance to draw back into them, especially in a deck like Gardevoir. You've got Refinements and Shining Arcanas. Not too uncommon to draw back into the cards that you want.
Yeah, Robin seeing that he will need to start getting more Rolts down as well. So
did draw into a Rolts there as well. So we've got the Curlier as well, got a Rolts down. And do you think Philip is going to try and fire off a Moonglow reverse himself?
It's difficult to say, because he doesn't have as much refinement to him. He only has the 1, but also only the 1 Greninja as well, to be able to get rid of the Psychic Energy. So
that's a good point.
You could possibly see. Yeah, it's difficult to say how Robin proceeds from here. The threat of the Cresselia on Robin's board isn't as much anymore, because he's going to find it difficult next turn to get Psychic in the discard pile. So we'll see. Maybe a knockout on the Mew if he can. So we see Psychic Embrace with 3. So taking the 1 prize card he can. He needs to keep up in the prize race. And we see the knockout on the Mew.
So that's 2, 4, 6 there with the Moonglow reverse. So Cresselia getting maximum value here with that Moonglow reverse, and it's just looking strong. The second attack, that Lunar Blast 110, not 100% sure if we'll be seeing that. But I do like the play effort, getting it in play there, so you can pay retreat, if needed, and all things like this. Over to Robin's side of the board, though, starting to turn with the Shining Arcana. And Robin's board's looking dangerous right now. 2 Gardevoirs with 2 energy on, getting ready to do that Brainwave if needed.
Yeah, this is a fantastic setup, because Robin knows he's 1 prize up here. He's got 2 single prize attackers on the board, nearly fully set up, just 1 manual attachment away from getting fully set up to use the Calming Mind attack. So, more advantage to Robin, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, tell you what, if you were a Gardevoir player, your board doesn't get much better than that, does it? 2 Brainwaves, a Guardi EX, both with 2 energy on, like you said, 1 prize up as well at this moment in time. So Robin is definitely in the driver's seat, but you never know if there's going to be anyone that can snatch the game back. I'll give Philip a good chance.
Yeah, maybe my predictions were a bit incorrect on the Philip side, but here we see the concealed cards maybe being used.
He's debating. That deck's getting rather small. Like obviously, Gardevoir does have ways to shuffle cards back in. You've got Miriam, you've got Power Pad, but you can't. You don't want to make a silly mistake here and potentially deck yourself out. So just seeing what we've got there. So we do see the Psychic, or was it Fog Crystal? Sorry, being used there. Going down to, it looks like 4 cards in deck, I believe, which means the Shining Arcana has to be used a bit sparingly.
Yeah. So we see here the Psychic Energy just being taken out by Robin.
What does he have available? He hasn't prized the Miriam, so we have that to shuffle cards back in. And we do see the Power Pad in Robin's hand. And also, we're going to move the energy to the top for the discard pile. We're going to Psychic Embrace them into play. I'm trying to think. Ultra Ball.
So you can take another knockout on the Courier as well.
Yeah, I was about to say. So do you go for another? I mean, you probably do, right?
Yeah, I would take another knockout on the Courier, because the thing is here as well is that, you know, those Gardevoirs are looking more and more dangerous here. You know, if he can put Psychic Embrace more energy on the Gardevoir without having to limit your damage output, you know, it's more advantage for you to take those big knockouts on, say, the Gardevoir EX.
Wow, what a turn. Robin is, I feel as if I couldn't draw up a better mirror game, to be honest. Like, the Cresselia's been doing the damage. You've got all these 3 stage 2s ready to go as well. And Philip is really in a dangerous position here. Just trying to work out what would be ideal. Because now there is no Cresselia targets anymore. That's not happening. I guess you could. How much HP does the Gardevoir have? Brainwave? We're just trying.
140.
140. So they've taken 6. So it's not. So yeah, that's not really going to be too easy for Philip to take a KO on them with Cresselia, and doesn't currently have any refinements. You know, has Liverwood out for that one. That's going to be his only refinement this turn.
The only way Philip can knock out those Gardevoirs on the bench is by using Gardevoir EX. You know, there's not a lot of damage output on Philip's board here available to him, apart from, say, the Lunar Blast on the on Robin's Cresselia.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. Yeah, it looks like Philip's trying to work out what's the best strategy here. Look, I wonder what's his hand. Power Pad, Luminion. That's a big hand, to be fair. Worker.
And you don't want to, of course, want to Psychic Embrace on the Gardevoir EX and put damage onto it. You know, it makes it easier for Robin to use the Calming Mind from Gardevoir to take that big knockout and 2 prizes.
Exactly that. And it looks like, was the Worker played, or was that refined?
Worker was played.
Worker was played. Okay. Yeah, I think it's looking a bit like. It's looking tough. What Philip's looking at discard pile. Quite see how many energies he even got in there. I have to imagine at this point again, at least be quite a few at least. Maybe do see the refinement come down. Yeah, we do see the refinement come down and being used to get rid of Battle VIP part. I'd love to see that getting gone in there. Easiest refinement of your life, that one.
Not going to be much use to you now.
And let's see what Philip can try and manufacture here. I mean, we could always see the Psychic Embrace onto the Gardevoir EX and take a swing, but like you said, you really want to, that's like a last chance scenario. You don't really want to be attacking with that, because that is your 2 prize Pokemon. You haven't got a way to heal outside of the minor healing from Cresselia, so.
Yeah, we see maybe the writing on the board here from Philip with those exhales. Keeps looking at his hand, thinking maybe what can I do here? What can I utilize? What can I? What are the plays here?
I'm sure we've all been there before, haven't we? Folks at home, look at your opponent inside the board thinking, how have they done that then? How's this happened? I'm in the trenches trying my hardest, and look over the table, we see 3 stage 2s, all with 2 energy or 3 energy on. And it looks like we see, is it what's that attack called? Lunar Blast, I believe, for 110 damage. I must say the artwork on that Cresselia card is amazing. It's a gorgeous looking card. Over to Rob. We do see the boss orders in hand. We could potentially see that. The problem is, though, with all this energy in play, I say a problem, it's a fantastic problem to have. With all this energy in play is that Zacian almost becomes a non-factor at this point now. We're not going to be seeing the Zacian being used. All the attackers are already on the board. Who does see boss orders? Oh, wow.
Boss on the Courier. It's just limiting Philip's ability to get set up here.
It is a bit gross.
Yeah, Robin's taking those Couriers out one by one.
Yeah, literally.
We see here the attachment to Cresselia.
You see another Lunar Blast by the looks of it.
Another Lunar Blast.
So you're seeing 2 back to back. It's funny just seeing these Creselias come down turn 1. It's going to last the whole game, maybe potentially, because they're probably not used to sticking around this long. But it seems like in the mirror, seems super effective, as it were.
Yeah, Philip started it as well, and we see here the penny and the boss come down. Can't imagine he could have pennied the Cresselia actually, but he did manually attach, so I imagine not.
Yeah, for sure. And there we see, I find it interesting how Gardevoir EX can get away, I say get away with, playing one, and there's the concession.
Scoop. There's the scoop. Way too ahead of the prize race.
Yeah, ahead on the prize race, ahead on the board state as well. Like, with no refinements available, only concealed cards. It's very tough. Yeah, so there, Robin did win that one. Philip did concede. Game 1 going to Robin. My prediction is looking good so far, but here we might see, you know, Gardevoir is not something I've played a terrible amount, but let's see how important it is going first. I would like to say Robin had a massive, great turn 1, no matter what both players did, but here we might see the sort of differences going first or second. Yeah,
it was such a strong start from Robin. Not only starting the Mew, but also getting the Battle VIP pass, the Fog Crystals, the level balls. And let's here see the achievements from Robin. Like I said before, no stranger to the big stage.
Yeah, there it is. Look at this. We've got World Champion 2018, LAIC Internet Champion 2019, and then Liverpool Regional Champion. The first event back for us after COVID in Europe. Champion with that Rapid Strike Urshifu. Top 32 at the World Championship 2019 and top 32 EUIC 2023. That is a scary person to be playing against, right?
Yeah, it's an intimidating resume. You know, Robin, like I said, no stranger to big achievements. Very well-established player, but also somebody who likes to innovate himself.
Yeah, for sure.
As you alluded to, the Liverpool Regional Champion, taking that Rapid Strike Urshifu with all sorts of concoctions, like Galarian Moltres for the Mew. You know, he's a player that really likes to put his finger on the pulse.
Yes, someone that it's not always predictable what you be playing against. Let's look at these prize cards here. We see one copy of the Guardian EX, one Volt. The Cresselia, actually, which we've seen get used so much in the round, game 1, I should say, is currently prized for Robin. Looking at Philip's prizes, we do see that one copy of Forest Steel Stone, one copy of Rare Candy, and one Curlier.
There's 2 Battle VIP passes in Philip's hand, and they're coming straight down. But a really, really poor starter from Robin. You do not want to be starting the Zacian V. It's such an easy 2 prizer for Philip to take from a 1 prizer like Gardevoir yet.
Yeah, 100% correct. Like, the Zacian is really good at taking big up trade KO. So I guess if there's a scenario you want to try and KO your opponent's Gardevoir EX to close out the game, that's when you want to use Zacian. But what you don't want to do is have it in play for the whole game. And it's in the active spot as well, so it could be hard to maneuver around. So not great. We didn't see Zacian come down in game 1 at all from both players, so it clearly isn't the card to be playing in the mirror, unless you're trying to close the game out with it.
And you can imagine those 2 Battle VIP passes now coming down from Philip, and Robin saying, this is what it feels like.
Robin's like, now I see what it's like.
This is what it feels like to be up against a really intimidating Gardevoir setup.
Yeah, with an intimidating player as well, no less. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure have a tremendous respect for each other. So you never know. If you're playing against a Schultz brother, you ain't getting an easy game. That's for sure.
No, you're certainly not.
You're never going to get an easy game.
You're not getting an easy ride. No, for sure. See Philip here, just doing the prize check as all good players do.
Yeah, one of the skills I recommend to all players, if you don't do it, at least, you know, you have to potentially price check for everything, but you have to at least, in my opinion, price check supporters, Pokemon, and then if you've got any like one-offs that are important, like the Forest Steel Stone, for example, or the Cresselia, because Robin does only play 1, but Philip does play 2.
Yeah.
So I feel as if you should really be price checking.
Yeah, it's such an underestimated thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially in a matchup like the mirror as well, you certainly will always have cards in your mind that these are so important. I have to check if they're prized. You know, I have to check what route I'm going down here.
Because there's nothing worse than making a play for a card, expecting it to be in deck, and it's not there, and you've sort of gone past the point of no return. So you're like, oh goodness! I remember Liverpool Regional was the one that Robin won, actually. This was the day I decided to prize check forever until the end of time, because I was playing UV Max. I thought, right, if I find my last boss here, I win. So I drew my whole deck, and was there a boss deck? No, there wasn't. It was my last prize card, and it was that moment right there. I was like, right, I'm prize checking from now on, and I haven't made that mistake again.
Yeah. So
okay. Here we do take Cresselia come down.
Yeah,
straight away.
Cresselia is straight down, and you see here the retreat, I would imagine, into the Mew, getting that mysterious tail.
Yep.
Down, so
and getting energy discard pile as well, so get a little bit of the mini game there completed. Mysterious tail, you look at the top 6 cards of your deck, and you can reveal and take an item. Looks like Ultra Ball is the only target. Yeah,
it's definitely going to be Ultra Ball.
Is it Ultra Ball?
No, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, if you can find your rare candies early on, it's definitely something that you can utilize.
Yes, we saw in round 1, game 3, the rare. I say, well, I don't want to say rare, but all 4.
All 4.
But we saw round 1, game 3, the rare guard of our turn 2 rare candy Donk. So Ultra Ball, one of the main facilitators of that. Robin started off the turn there with a fog crystal, gets a look through his deck. I might do some price checking as well, and I wonder if we're going to see a reaction when you realise the Cresselia is priced, because I would imagine that completely changes how you play the matchup, and then maybe in that scenario Zacian does get a use case. Yeah,
I mean, if Zacian is the only thing that you can attack with, you have to use the Zacian. You know, it's a matchup in which you have to keep up with the prize race. So you can use roaring of the sword as well. So you can increase that energy count on the Zacian without having to use Psychic Embrace. Fortunate for Robin. So we see here the Battle VIP pass coming down, 2 rolls, as you can imagine.
Yep, and we saw the memory skip one get put to hand as well. So we see an Ultra Ball getting rid of, what was that? Wait, a Worker and an Energy. Worker doesn't seem super relevant in this match. Worker's insane for getting rid of Path to the Peak in most scenarios. You could argue getting rid of Collapse Stadium under certain circumstances can be advantageous as well. It is mostly just there as a Path to the Peak out. And when you're refining so many cards, actually, when you can see cards with refinement, that does open up the door for playing supporters that don't draw you cards, like a Miriam, like a Penny, like a Worker, or even Irida that Robin is playing. That's one of the benefits of playing an engine that lets you draw cards, is that you can play those sort of power supporters that don't necessarily draw you cards.
Yeah, and we see here the Greninja coming down, and the Luminion as well. Yeah.
Wow. Maybe. Again, a card we didn't see last game.
Yeah, I think the research play here is going to be the play, but just because Philip's setup is so intimidating.
Yeah, it's the same. It's almost the same as last game, right? For Robin.
Robin has to try and get in the game here and get up in another Ralts, because if the Cresselia can take those early knockouts, and Robin say only has 1 Ralts left after a Cresselia knockout. So it's going to be a bad time for Robin. But we see here the Ralts come down, and research being used.
And let's see what he draws there. Again, I think you're 100% correct. You have to sort of get involved in this game. Looking at Philip's board, 4 Raltses, a Mew, and a Cresselia. No easy prize. You're going to have to just say, right, I'm going to have to rush now. I'm going to try and maybe start this race. Oh, a Collapse.
Oh, yeah, huge.
That gets with the Luminion, obviously, as well, right? Okay, so that's one little wrinkle almost. We did mention Collapsed earlier. It could be a good card to get rid of with Worker, but I actually quite like this scenario. He's basically saying, right, I'm a little bit behind. I'm going second. You have a great setup, but I'm going to have a Zacian that's going to have no damage on it, and it can start attacking. So if you don't, get involved quick, I can start taking prize with Zacian.
Yeah, and the Collapse Stadium has a great use against Lost Box, but also in situations like this where you have to get rid of that easy 2-prizer off the board. So in this circumstance, it was, of course, that Luminion. But we see here Philip starting his turn. The courier coming straight down from the level ball.
This could be a game-defining, round-defining judge here. Both players shuffling their hand and getting 4 cards. Now, Philip does have 1 refinement available, so that will go up to 6 cards. But how many times have we been there? I'm sure you've been there before. As a control player, I'm sure a lot of people think, right, let's just judge and pray. And you can be at the mercy of judges. So let's see what both players draw.
You don't have to remind me.
You started chuckling instantly.
Stephen's resolve into let loose, please. No, not again. Not again. Please.
Don't do me like this. No. We see a Fog Crystal grabbing the Psychic Energy there. I think Philip's time was okay. I think I did see some playables, you know, level balls, ultra balls, they find curliers that then find you +2. There's a refinement, getting rid of that energy. And another energy and a Professor's research.
Yeah, do you see
the Greninja? We see Mysterious Tail first. I don't think Philip wants to put that Greninja down if you can avoid it. We do see a level ball to grab another Curlier.
Yeah, this is turning out to be a great judge. Of course, did have the Mysterious Tail to utilize, but you know, if you can get 2 Curlier down while limiting your opponent to 4 cards, in the meantime, you know, full advantage to you. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I see 2 Curlier in Robin's hands.
Yeah, and a Fog Crystal.
Yeah, that's a good judge.
That's the Curlier. Like, don't worry, Robin, we'll get you back in this game. Don't worry about it. But I think it's so nice. You know, we've been playing a stage 2, and I feel as if for stage 2s to be super impactful in the meta game, they have to be able. A lot of the time, the stage 1s are relevant. Oh, and we see a rare candy as well.
That's huge.
Oh my goodness, we could potentially. We could see. And we have enough energy to get the Cresselia rolling.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is going to be super interesting now, because in the last game, Robin fired off the Cresselia, Philip fired one off back. But Robin hasn't got the option to do that. The Cresselia is prized, so Robin won't be able to Cresselia back, which means Zacian or something else might take the active.
And going back to your point, he's taken out the memory skip. If he'd played, you know, more of the 70 HP like Philip had done, you know, that wouldn't have been a knockout there.
Yeah, 100% correct. And I feel as if, like I said, now I would imagine that Vulpix isn't going to be super meta relevant. The extra HP comes up, you know, it means that Sableye can't take out 2, for example, only takes out 1. And here we see the Curlier. But let's see what Robin does here. I'm intrigued to see how this turn gets navigated with the Cresselia currently in the prize cards. Now, traditionally, players do take their prizes bottom to top, so there's a 50-50 chance on Robin's first KO that he might take the Cresselia. But where's that KO coming from? If it's from Zacian, that's a 2-5 Pokemon that's not being removed from the board. Yeah, without a penny at least.
He'll need to attach to the Zacian. And we see here the Miriam being used, the Lumineon on Rolt's coming straight back in.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that Rolt's coming straight back onto the bench, but of course it is going to be quite weak to that Cresselia, only having to Psychic Embrace 3.
Yeah, big
you know,
difference.
These are the little tiny 60 card mirror, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This is where those little decisions of how you differentiate your deck come in. And draws into another Curlier.
Some good cards to draw into there, Curlier, apart from the VIP Battle Pass, obviously.
Debating on using the Greninja.
Yeah, because you don't want to get... If you get rid of that energy, you still need one to attach with his Zacian, because you don't really want to Psychic Embrace to it if you can, right? You want to leave it on max HP, which is 220.
I'm going to do the first mention of it. Thinning is winning. He's decided to use the level ball before the concealed cards, just to ensure that he can, you know, grab some more optimal cards before using it. Taking a card out that you know you need. So see the refinement come down. A bit on VIP pass, no use to you anymore.
You see another level ball, so we could get the full gang of Rolts out here. Oh no, one's prize, sorry. So one Rolts is prize at the top there. So, and here we see the Storm Slash for the KO. Cresselia hitting the discard pile. And over to Philip. Let's see what Philip can manufacture here. Philip does play 2 copies of Cresselia. So we could see another Cresselia come back down potentially. We know there is at least 1 energy in the discard pile. Looks like it's going to be 2. We see a Fog Crystal that could get rid of another one. So we could see the second Cresselia potentially.
Yeah, we do see the Miriam and the Fog Crystal as well, so he can opt to use that. But of course, if you want to be using as many Cresselia as possible, I would potentially get the Fog Crystal, use the Fog Crystal, sorry, for the Cresselia, and then Miriam back 2 rather than 1.
No, you're 100% correct. That makes a ton of sense, actually. And there you go.
Yeah. It comes down.
And I wonder if the double Cresselia is by Mirror Tech then. I mean, that sounds plausible, right? I mean, we're seeing it get used a lot here in this mirror scenario, and I guess against Lost Box, having double Cresselia is probably going to be advantageous as well. Yeah. So, yeah, Cresselia, a card initially, when I first saw it, I thought, cut that, don't need that, and clearly, I'm wrong.
And if a player like Philip says, I need 2 in this, I need 2 in this list, then you know there's utility elsewhere. We spoke about the Lost Box matchup, taking those earlier prizes against the Com phase as well. Yeah. And, you know, it's not an easy easy Pokemon for Lost Box to knock out.
No.
120 HP. It's not going to get spit innocently.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. Yeah.
Easily.
So that took me off. It's not, and we saw in the round 1, actually, we saw the Cresselia just putting, what's that, 60 or 80 onto a Goodra. Basically saying, are you going to pop your Moisture Star for 60 or 80?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, Mization has no problem up reaching. So maybe Cresselia a bit of an MVP, as it were. I might go after this and run over to the vendor, but I got any Cresselia? I need one more, I've only got one.
It's so cheeky in that Goodra matchup, like you said, just sprinkling a little bit of damage and just asking your opponent,
go on,
are you going to do it?
Go on. You're going to do it for 60, are you? Come on, only 60.
You can do it for 20, come on.
But then it makes sense, though, because then if you don't, the Zacian has no problem on going to that crazy high damage output. So over to Robin, though. Let's see what he does. Does have that Storm Slash ready to go. Does have one Curlier down. But this is looking, it's almost a complete reversal of game 1, right?
Yeah.
There we see the wreck. I think that happened as well for Philip in game 2. Only having one refinement available to him.
Does have 2 Fog Crystal. He can go for a big turn here and get a lot of Psychic in that discard pile, but we see here refinement. Yeah, going to be using Fog Crystal to get another Psychic, I would imagine. Yep.
And it's like, even if you was to like try and get some tempo back and like go crazy with Zacian, boss KO, Gardevoir, it's like Zacian have no HP after that, so then you can just like, it just gets responsed, and then it's like, it's not really that great a position to be in. So,
and that's why it's such a bad attacker, I think, in this matchup. You know, it can take that big knockouts in the later stages against the Gardevoir EX, but in the earlier stages, you know, you don't want to make it weaker. You don't want to, you know, you don't necessarily want to take those early 2 prizes on the Gardevoir EX.
That's why we see Box of Disaster being used in some decks, right? It's basically saying, if you want to go crazy with your Zacian V, you will be KOing yourself because you're going to most likely be on low amounts of HP. I mean, we saw that in the first week of the first couple of weeks of Cups. I saw it most in Mew VMAX. And it looks like we lucid Heavy Ball. Is that going to recover the Cresselia? It looks like we're choosing the Cresselia over the Volt. So that just goes to show you how valuable Cresselia is in the mirror if you chose to take it over the Rolts.
Yeah, he can use 2 to retreat from Zacian, so it will give him an extra 2 Psychic Energy to use for the Embrace and the Moonglow reverse play. The Mew is still on the board as well, so that's also an easy 1 prize for the Cresselia. But we see an abundance of Psychic Energy, so I think he could probably be eyeing up those Curliers on that bench.
Yeah, I think that's 100% correct. We'd be trying to go for here. You see a research. Wow, so we'll give it a Curlier there. We saw the Roxanne go. That might be the Penny alternate art there. I see. 100% sure. I think it might be there.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
So let's see. We do see Ultra Ball. See a Red Candy. We see another collapsed. I think it was collapsed in here. Oh no, it could be Temple. Sorry, Temple. They both it's kind of similar, don't they? The big gold towers, as it were. Here we see an Ultra Ball. There we go to the first Brainwave coming down for Robin. Nice HP buff. Pushes it outside the range of a Cresselia. So currently, looking at the board, there's no easy Cresselia targets there for Philip. There's a lot of HP on Robin's side of the board.
Yeah, so it's limiting Phillips's options in terms of attackers. So I'll see here, just Robin looking at his discard pile. Retreating for 2 there, I'll imagine. Yeah, straight into the Cresselia and putting both players on 2 Greninja, Gardevoir each, or 2 ways to get Gardevoir each, I should say.
Yes. And there we do see the Curlier going down. So this could be a pretty pivotal turn here for Philip, I believe. If Philip doesn't respond with an ideal turn, this could be where it starts to get away from him. But then, what is that ideal turn? Cresselia isn't picking off any Moongo reverse easy prizes here. Lunar Blast isn't taking a KO on a Cresselia. I mean, there's 110 and a Cresselia's got 120 health. We're not seeing that. So do we try and see a Brainwave KO?
I would imagine so. I mean, it's really smart play here from Robin. It's asking Philip, okay, now you need to set up another attacker here. You can't be just using Cresselia over and over again. You're having to use something else here. You know, maybe a Zacian, maybe the Gardevoir EX. But of course, we spoke about this earlier. You don't want to be damaging that Gardevoir EX for an easy 2 prizes.
No, 100%. especially in that 2 prizes, is your engine.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? And you'd rather have as many Shining Arcanas in play as possible. So if you're having to like give up a Guardian EX and evolve your next courier into a Guardian EX, that's now a courier that's not a Brave Whip, which means you're now down 2 cards for card economy, and that only gets worse throughout the course of the game. So you really want to keep that Guardian EX there chilling on the bench.
And although that Zacian was maybe an unfortunate starter for Robin, it's looking like an absolute freak on a leash on that bench there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it can take massive, massive knockouts. And Philip has, I don't believe he has any other way apart from his own Zacian V to take that knockout.
Yeah, and if you're using Zacian to take a 1 prize KO, I mean, that's just not efficient, is it?
Just not cricket. No, it's just not cricket.
And it's like, Philip's definitely thinking, what is ideal? I mean, we can't quite see what's in his hand. The hand is a reasonable size. You have to imagine, must have at least, you know, a fog crystal so he can pick his attacker out, or Ultra Ball even. But yeah, definitely an awkward position here. Robin, I really like the idea of just leaving no easy Pokemon in play. So let's see what's in Philip's hand. Is that a Miriam? Or was that research, actually? A Serena,
yeah. So
for the Zacian, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. If you're going to use a 2 prize attacker, at least you're taking 2 prize cards yourself, right? Does Brainwave ever get to? Brainwave can get to a Zacian, right?
Yeah,
needs a ton of energy though.
Yeah. He can use it, like I said, he can use his own Gardevoir, but it's taking that Gardevoir off the field, you know, and leaving Philip with only the one Gardevoir EX standing alone here. So it'd be interesting to see how Philip navigates this now. Just a quick look through the deck, failing the level ball. And he did have a big think about this. You know, he did have a big think about what this play was here.
So this we're going to see
manual retreat.
Manual retreat into Guardi EX. Okay. That does 190, right, with its attack?
Yeah, it does 190.
190.
So he's not going to be taking a knockout on the Zacian. But the thing is here is that if he can damage the Zacian V, of course, it'll limit how much energy that Robin can put on his own Zacian, and we saw that the penny was discarded earlier. So it's going to be very difficult for Robin to come back here with a knockout.
It almost neutralizes the threat, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not taking 2 prize cards here, but you ain't taking them without either. So,
no.
And then it opens up the door potentially to heal some of this 60 with your own Cresselia. You know, pay retreat, attach your energy, Cresselia, KO the Zacian. Interesting play. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. But what this does mean is that if Philip did have to evolve the other the Curry on the bench, I should say, which means that is now no longer a Shining Arcana possibility, or it can no longer use Refinement. So card economy Philip might start to slow down. Something to keep an eye on. Yeah,
it's a play that I definitely didn't see, and it's very intelligent play. You know, it's asking Robin. Oh, he does have the Pal Pad.
Does have the Pal Pad.
And I do believe I saw the Luminion also. But
we can see it there.
Collapsed is still out, however.
Yeah, collapsed
but
is.
I do think he still had the Forest Seal in hand.
He did have Forest Seal, so you could go. But then the bench is still full though, so you couldn't bench Luminion to.
No,
you can attach Forest Seal to Zacian, right? Yeah, you can attach to Zacian. No, 100%. But wait, has he discarded his Temple? And I think Worker's gone already, right? Oh, I guess you can Power Pad in the Worker. Yeah, for sure. So let's see.
So Pal Pad the penny, manually retreat with, say, Cresselia, then just put the Zacian back down. Yeah,
I guess that works. You're correct. Yeah. You would need him in on that scenario. What I'm on about. Right, so here comes Pal Pad. Philip's thinking, of course you did. There's the boss's orders, and there's the penny.
There's the penny, yeah.
Not very nice card, that penny.
It's very good.
Unless you're Philip in this scenario, you do not want to be seeing that.
it was such a good tech from Tord because it answered a lot. It answered the damage on the Zacian from, say, Lost Box, and negated that. But also, good for, say, when the meta was back when it was, but the Morwell store.
Yes, good point.
Against, say, the Radiant Greninja, but he was it draws into
the
penny as well.
He drew into the penny, doesn't even have to use Forest Seal Stone. Oh my goodness! I guess to be fair, look at the deck there. I think it was only a 4-card deck actually.
The deck is
so 50% chance of drawing into it. Oh, I think what was thinking? Oh, hold on a sec. Look at all these energies here. What sort of sort of crazy stuff can we do here?
I guess the only problem here is that if he pennies, he has to pick up the energy.
Yes, that is true. You could. Oh no, you say you can't retreat first, so then you need to get the whatever Pokemon you promote back out into active. Is Robin debating if he can like nuke this Guardi EX? Is that what he's trying to work out here?
So I believe he needs 7 energy attached to that Zacian, and I think he had 5 in the discard pile. So he needs to manually retreat 2 from somewhere, which would only work from the Gardevoir. I don't believe he has any more psychic energy left in deck.
Right, well, if he's going for the Zacian...
No, sorry, he can manually retreat with the Zacian here. Yeah, right. That's right, yeah, sorry, yeah. So he manually retreats here, attaches 1 with the Psychic Embrace.
Right.
And then pennies the Zacian. Oh, no.
Does Brainwave get there? Oh, I'm guessing it does. 60 plus 30, right? So what's that? 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, plus 60. Yeah, I guess they're right, yeah. Wow, and that's what we was talking earlier about the strength of the Shining Arcana, is that not only is it a one-prize Pokemon, but it's a one-prize Pokemon that can take these big up-trade carries. There's removing the damage from the Zacian. Philip going, all right, fair enough then. Fair enough, bro. That's how you're doing me, yeah?
Yeah.
Crazy swing turn there. And I think that looks like a concession.
He can take the big knockout on the Gardevoir EX next turn with the Zacian in the hand.
So... Oh, was that a concession?
I believe so.
I think it was, yeah. Or maybe Philip's thinking, maybe. Yeah, no, I think it was, yeah. That was a crazy turn there from Robin. And there is Sid. So if you wanted a masterclass in how to play the mirror, I think we just got it. Fantastic play from both players. And Robin did win there. Robin taking the Schultz family showdown there, as it were. So ultimate bragging rights for Robin there, at least going back home from this event. Wow. You know, I've never seen a Guardian Mirror until today, and I'm very impressed. Yeah,
it's fortunate to see that both players had such good setups in both games.
Yeah, they did.
So they had all of their cards available to them, and it was all about those little micro decisions and even deck list choices that we saw with the 60 HP Ralts that really made the difference.
Yeah, and it's an interesting, I'm sure maybe you'll get to hear in the players' interview, you know, why the 60 HP one was chosen. And yeah, like double Cresselia, even say like, oh, your brother was playing double Cresselia, why wasn't you, for example? Or even the Irida, like I'd love to hear, why Irida then, you know what I mean? What made you go Forest Seal over Sky Seal? Because I think a lot of scenarios, I think a lot of matchups, I think Mew, for example, seems a lot harder without a Sky Seal, but maybe they predicted less Mew, I'm not sure, but that's all hopefully we'll find out.
It's the little decisions that come out with rigorous testing.
Oh, of course.
You know, say Sky Seal over Forest Seal Stone, you know, those are the sort of decisions that you make where you have, you know, you look at the meta and you think, oh, maybe the prize trade race isn't so good for a Sky Seal Stone. I'm going to opt for some more consistency with the Forest Seal.
And like we said, you know, when we was introing the decks, right? Gardevoir is a stage 2 Pokemon that can attach as many energy you like from your discard pile. Forest Seal just helps you get to that point more often. And a lot of the time, you sit down and think about it realistically. If I can attach as many energy as I want, there's not going to be many games I don't win. So how about we get to that point more often? And we actually didn't even see it get used there. But I imagine in some games, having that get out of jail free card Forest Seal. We see it in Mew, for example, right? How crazy was Mew before? Now you give Mew computer search. It's like, oh my goodness. So.
Yeah, and it's not only good in the early game to maybe get set up, but it's also good in the late game to say find that last minute penny. Or the last minute boss. You know, it's those consistency but power at the same time. It's so versatile and such a good choice.
Also being a Path to the Peak out as well, right?
Yeah.
You could use it under Path. That's one downside I think to Guardi, is that it's a deck that's weak to Path to the Peak without playing too many Path to the Peak outs. You know, you don't play Lost Vacuums, you play Worker and 2 stages, sometimes 1 stadium, right? So sometimes if Path comes down at the wrong time, you can be twiddling your thumbs. However, Forest Seal Stone just says basically I can get out of that path whenever I like. But I do think we're going to hear a quick video here about Gardevoir EX, how it plays, and then hopefully we get a winner's interview with Robin after that. Gardevoir EX might be considered the best EX card we have in format right now, proving just how crazy of a card it really is. Its Psychic Embrace ability allows you to attach as many Psychic energy from your discard pile to your Psychic Pokemon as often as you'd like.
but you do have to put 2 damage counters on the Pokemon you attach as energies too. This means if you have 5 energy in your discard pile, you can essentially do whatever you like and power up any of your attackers like Zacian V, Rainwave Gardevoir, or even the Gardevoir EX itself. The Curlier itself can really help out here too, since they have the Refinement ability, which allows you to discard 1 card from your hand to draw 2 more. Perfect! Skyseal Stone can also be used as Zacian upgrade a massive KO, so you can take an extra prize card while doing so too. Perfect for letting you get back in the game, since Gardevoir can be a little bit slow to get out the gate, but once it does, it is very hard to stop, and quite honestly, I would be terrified of it here at this event. But that's our quick look there at Gardevoir EX, so don't go anywhere because we're going to have our next round up soon.
Welcome back, trainers. We're here with our winner of round 2 with the Brothers Showdown. How did that go for you?
Yeah, it went pretty well for me. Like when I saw the pairing, I was like, are you kidding me? Round 2, 1-0.
Could you imagine, have you ever been paired with your brother so early in a tournament before, or was this a first time?
No, I don't think so. I think we've played in day 2, like once or twice. And of course we played at League Challenges, League Cups, but not really in day 1 of the region, I don't think.
No. Were you kind of, was it really a rolling our eyes moment at being paired with him this early on?
Yeah, definitely is. But yeah, I mean, one of us had to lose, I guess.
Yeah, so were you both it looked intense, it looked really intense. Were you both playing more seriously? I imagine you've been testing together, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, have you played a lot? Have you played the mirror a lot?
Actually, we haven't tested the mirror against each other, just like other matchups, like Gardevoir against basically everything except the mirror. Yeah.
So yeah, that must have been quite fresh off the money then, being able to play almost for one of the first times with that interesting mirror. It went absolutely crazy, really popped off game 1.
Yeah, I had a picture perfect opening game 1, just 4 Rals, triple Curlier, Gardevoir turn 2, with the Cresselia, and he couldn't do that much.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful plays. And how did your list differ? Because I know you had the Irida in there. Was that specifically for searching for those Luminions? Did you have any other ideas for Irida?
The Irida, I just want my deck to be as consistent as possible. I just wanted it to basically work as much as possible. And that's why I put in the Irida. It's basically like a Bridget on turn 1. You can get your Greninja into Battle Pass, so you basically have full setup. You can search with Luminion, which is nice. Sometimes, I usually want to research if you can, but since you have those hands where you have a Rare Candy or like Ultra Ball or something, and get multiple Curliers, just like a really good hand for the second turn, and then you just have Irida or like an Ultra Ball for Dominion for Irida. That's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the card is like mandatory or anything. And I don't know if it's like optimal over the card like cut for it.
Well, I mean, it definitely did you well in that game, right?
I didn't use it.
But it was there. Did you find the memory skip rolls? Do you think that's going to be really useful in the future games? Obviously, in this one, I suppose it's particularly ideal, right?
Yeah, in the mirror, you'd rather have the 70 because the 60 can be sniped by Cresselia easily, but it's not like a huge deal. Usually, you can KO the 70 HP one just as well. And the memory skip is where it's really bad is against Rapid Strike decks. The Medicham and the Italian VMAX and everything, so that's why Philip was not playing it.
So he made the decision to actually leave that out of his deck, but I heard last night he was considering changing it because he thought you'd made the correct decision.
It's like if you hit a Rapid Strike deck, you have the 70, but if you hit a Alolan Vulpix, you rather have the memory skip, so it's like, it depends on what you hit, and it's...
Luck of how the day goes then, isn't it, really? So
yeah. I hope I will hit maybe a Vulpix at some point. And then
fingers crossed for you. And hopefully that plan really comes into play and you actually get to use both Irida and the memory skip rolls. I think it's quite a common inclusion in most decks. I was a little bit surprised to see Philip not running it, but then hearing that he actually thought maybe you'd made the right decision there.
It's I don't think there's really a right or wrong with that. It's just... what you feel like? Do you think you rather hit the Rapid Strike deck, or do you think you will hit the Vulpix, and you can't really predict that?
Yeah, I suppose it just comes down to what do you think is going to be more prevalent in the meta today.
Yeah, and also you can still play against the Rapid Strike deck if you have the 60 HP rolls, but if you don't have the memory skip, you just can't play against Vulpix at all. So
no, I suppose that's one of the things that might make the big difference.
Yeah.
What do you think there's more of today? Rapid Strike or Vulpix? If you had to hazard a guess.
I would guess both are pretty low on the meta chart, so I don't know, really.
I think more Rapid Strike, personally. I just have a feeling. I have a funny feeling about that one today.
Well, it could be that I don't really know if the deck is strong. I haven't really tested it, but I know it got top 16 at UIC, so probably not the worst deck. So, yeah.
No, and I think now that Vulpix is a bit more well-known, people are aware of it, they can tech for it, whereas in the past, when it came as a surprise, that's when it was really scary, right?
Yeah, Vulpix probably lost some of its, I think it can still win some games, steal some, even with memory skip, it's not just a guaranteed win, right? And I don't think people are taking things like Mimikyu EX against it, or I guess maybe some people play the Path to the Peak to KO it. But yeah, I think in Portland, the last regional, I think there was still some Vulpix around, so I definitely wanted to have an out.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense to be seeing that as a threat nowadays. Is there any matchups that you thought, oh gosh, please no, not today?
I think the deck is just really strong and can keep up with basically everything. If you play against the Lost Box deck, which draws really well, gets the turn 1 Mirage Gate Greninja attack, then you lose, right? But I think it's just the deck has very even matchups all around, and I don't think there's really anything you are very, very scared of.
No. So was it a surefire pick today? You were 100% Guardi.
I really like Mew as well. I'm actually a big Mew fan. I was still considering maybe playing Mew. I've been playing Mew at some my locals, and I'm a big fan of the deck, and I think it also has pretty good matchups. Maybe even better ones than Gardevoir, but
really?
But Gardevoir is just such a well-rounded deck, and it doesn't really have hard counts. With Mew, you're very scared of the Sky Seal Stone in DOSBox or Sky Seal Stone in Gardevoir, and with Gardevoir you don't really have those really tough matchups.
Yeah, so you're not too worried. There's nothing that's going to come out of left field, really, with Gardevoir, is there? Whereas I suppose Drapion still lurks in the shadows around Mew.
Yeah.
It's just a frustrating card, isn't it? One of those you think, oh, was that custom made just to stop me?
And it literally was, right? Yeah. You can be dominating the game, and then suddenly Drapion Sky Seal Stone, and you just lose. Yeah.
It's awful. It's so frustrating. But the amount of times that kind of happens, I feel, is low, and there are enough things that kind of Mew doesn't really need to worry about Drapion too much anymore.
Yeah, and also the Lugia matchup is a bit sus for Mew. If they just get set up, you basically lose.
Yeah, with the Dark Attackers, with the new build,
yeah, you basically have to hope they break off your path. Yes, you can play Temple to have some comeback potential, but then you have to put a card specifically for the Lugia matchup. Which, I don't know. It was still kind of a close call between the two decks for me, honestly.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's nice to know that you were psychic all the way, though.
Yeah.
No matter what, there was Mew or Gardevoir coming through for you this weekend. I think it's really interesting that both of you picked Gardevoir in the end. Did Philip have a different deck on the back burner?
He was pretty sad on Gardevoir. Like most of us in the group are big fans of Gardevoir, and basically we're playing Gardevoir. And
if it was Mew versus Gardevoir, how do you think that would have went?
It's not playing the Sky Seal Stone, so I think Mew is maybe slightly favored.
Yeah,
but just slightly.
Just slightly. I love that. That's amazing. Mew is such a pinnacle deck in our meta right now. Have you enjoyed playing it through every iteration of Mew? Because all it's had is kind of slight tweaks and changes, but it's still very linear in how it plays. Have you continued to enjoy it the whole time?
Actually, I started playing Mew kind of late, like basically, middle of this season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I think the DT version of Mew, it would probably be really good just last season as well, when everyone was still playing Meloetta. And of course, like Lost Vacuum was a really important card that we didn't have back then, but sometimes I think about like maybe last season Mew was just the play all along, like every tournament when everyone was still playing Palkia and things, and why wasn't just playing DT Mew? And then at Worlds or like the London Open, it was like played for the first time, and then like the DT Mew basically changed everything about a Mew. Back then, it was like the Meloetta deck, the Fusion Mew. I'm not really a big fan of that, but DT Mew is just a wonderful deck.
It is, and I feel like it's going to continue to have strength and like trials and every trial and tribulation that it's going to be faced with the new Spiritomb coming out. I feel like Mew's just going to overcome everything that's thrown at it.
I don't know if it can overcome Spiritomb, but also that we've been saying that about like every Mew counter, right? So
right? Yeah, every single time, and yet Mew continues to top it off every time, right?
Yeah, but if there's Spiritomb, you literally cannot play it. If against Rapin you can play, but Spiritomb, that's a whole new level of hard counter.
So. Thank you so much for coming and talking with us today, Robin. I really appreciate it. We're going to head back now because we're all done for now, but hopefully we'll see plenty of winners with us in the booth today. So keep an eye out. We've got so much more action on the way soon.